we've got is that Venus has an inner nature and an outer nature, and it's the way in which we hear ourselves talk and the way we listen. As we hear ourselves and our inner talk, what happens is that we will then project that out into the world, and then we will see what gets reflected back to us. Generally speaking, that's the case. Not 100% of the time, but often in, you know, relationships that we're in, we'll see this play out. And it's about our inner needs and values. And Saturn rules Capricorn and the 10th house. Okay, so the big question is how do I talk to myself? So a lot of us don't really look at that until, you know, often until we start digging, and we've got to look at ourselves and ask ourselves this question, because if we don't, then we don't evolve and our lives gets very stagnated, and we keep having the same types of relationships as well. So how do I talk to myself? You know, our inner voice is going to affect the outer, and we're forever a work in progress as well. Then what we have is that you can see here, I have my chart. This is my chart, and this is dated the 23rd of August. But what I've got down here, if you look at the 5th house, you can see that I've got Venus, the symbol of Venus there, and it's in Aries in the 5th house at 18 degrees. But also what I do, or what we all do, is that we look at the house placement also, and that is Leo. The 5th house is Leo. So I'm also going to then look at Venus in Leo to give me a whole picture of what my Venus is doing and how it plays out. Okay. Then what you have is a natal chart represents our potential. It also represents what we have been and where we are at and what we can become. We have free will, and knowing this means we get to make choices. So it's really important we understand that in astrology, that it's not, you know, written in stone, that we do have free will. It is important that we look at the totality of a chart, and in evolutionary astrology, the baseline will be Pluto and the polarity point of Pluto, and then we will look at the North Node and the South Node, and we need to look at the nodal rulers of the North Node and the South Node to dig even deeper. That's going to give us a brilliant picture of what our lives are about and our life path as well. With Venus in Capricorn, ruler Saturn, here we have a pattern for caution and control. And this applies inner to the inner and the way in which we relate to others. Here, deep feeling and understanding of inner needs takes time to surface. So it's good to know that if you've got Venus in Capricorn. And they need time to see what is correct for them. And it takes time for them to connect with what they feel and how they will express it. This is due to being wrongly judged and rejected in the past. The rejections may have been from parents or carers, and it could be past lives as well, hey? So Capricorn is ruled by Saturn and relates to time and space and how we arrange ourselves in the world based on reality. Interactions with others covers groups, customs and regulations and more. When inner beliefs are not met based on what one believes to be the correct way, guilt can be experienced. Capricorn reflects in order to know what is correct and this takes time. In reflection, we become aware of what is correct for us and what is not. Also, the reflecting can put us on the right path, and this cannot be rushed or forced. It's really important to understand that. There can be a seriousness, and this can feel futile and create feelings of pessimism. When a child is expected to perform as an example to parents' wishes and emotional feelings are rejected, this creates a feeling and a sense of lack. And the beautiful thing about knowing this and understanding these placements is that we can evolve. We're not stuck in this place ever. And also it's going to be the totality of a chart as well. We're going to have aspects to Venus, all sorts of things. So next slide is, so this can mean that feelings are squashed and ignored, and life is lived in a serious matter and leaves no room for spontaneity. The early conditioning can play out in adulthood as apprehension, timidity, withdrawn and hesitant. The early conditioned traits can then attract those who are manipulative and want to control the Venus Capricorn via being overly authoritarian and judgmental. There may be a fear of authority even when the authority is safe and not abusive. Here there is grief and sadness, and they do need caring people, and by caring for their own needs they will attract others, you know, that will do this as well. They need to release guilt and shame and learn to love their inner child, and they need to be acknowledged and they need to be held. They can work on forming relationships that have integrity and commitment and maturity. And we can balance this out with the polarity of Cancer, with deep inner child work to release the inner critic and banish it from coming, and come to a new self-image. So in order to heal this, it needs shadow work, which is very much Carl Gustav Jung. It's really looking at ourselves, and also, to take away the fearlessness. We need to get fearless to get to a place of knowing that it is safe, that one is safe, and that there is nothing to fear in reality, and that one is lovable, and there is nothing one needs to do to know and just to receive and know that that is the birthright of each of us. Okay. Here we've got Uganda that I love. Mankind is engaged in an eternal quest for that something else that will bring him happiness, complete and unending. For those individuals whose souls have sought and found God, the search is over. He is that something else. So we've got to know that we've got this inner security, but we're also in a position where we do, need each other in life, and we need to be aware of that. But ultimately, the true work is with our own souls and with ourselves, and we evolve. Lastly, we've got Carl Gustav Jung. He passed in 1961, and we've got here, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So the beauty of learning in astrology and understanding your chart is that you're going to know self and you're going to become more conscious. It's impossible not to. And what we resist, what you resist, not only persists, but it will grow in size. That's worth knowing too, as a truth. But when we know more, then we're less likely to resist when we understand ourselves. And resistance determines the magnitude of our problems and confrontations. And the source material here is Jeff Wolf Green, Pluto 1, Evolutionary Journey of the Soul, and Carl Gustav Jung, Uganda, and some of the pictures there from Google. And if you want a session with me, then you can email me, or if you look below the video, you're going to be able to find my booking page and my Facebook page also, where you can check me out and link in with me that way. Thanks so much for watching. Catch you later. I'm back next week with Aquarius.